study Gödel's theorem, because it means that there's
Right.
there are things that are not provably correct, that are true but not provably true, and so that implies that if we think of our brains as computers that are
Mhm.
processing steps, information to produce information, we process information and new information comes out. So we're doing our homework, do our homework assignment, and we hand it to the teacher and so forth. Well, it also suggests, or it's an inference, and I don't know how to prove it. Like I said, I don't know what to do with that, but it suggests that our computer mind could also generate spontaneous truths or information that is not an assembly of information from the things going in. In the past, I've said that there's no free will.
What exactly does that mean that
Well,
you're
in the
gonna come up
past,
with things? Oh, go
right.
ahead.
In the
Mhm.
past, I've argued that you still, and I still see this. I still think this, that there is no free will. That what we view as our decisions are just responses to the inputs that we're subjected to through our lives, through our day to day and week to week, and throughout our lives. We are responding to the stimulus, and what we are is a culmination of all of that, plus the hardware that we're blessed with, when we're born
Mhm.
and grow up. But the incompleteness theorem suggests that among all of the assemblages of information that can be manifest inside of our personality, our brain, as it were, there could be things that emerge that are true or false, or just merely propositions that do not emerge, that are not a product of the processes of stimulus that's entering our brain. So
Hmm.
it's a contra argument to the notion that there's no free will. It's a mechanism to be able to see that, to see the potential for free will. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say about that. I think that Roger Penrose, who we've talked about before, I think he has
Yep.
some kind of
Mhm.
insight. It's kind of the thing that he's been talking about, where he's trying to say that consciousness is not a computation. I don't agree with that. I think that much of it is a computation, but this is a way of getting information to emerge that is not part of a computation. And so that doesn't. So anyway,
I suppose
it's
that
a wild
makes sense.
idea.
It is. And Leonard, I apologize to all our viewers out there. I realized during part of this, I think my connection broke out, so we were not live.
Well,
So
who are you apologizing to then?
the viewers that's going to watch this or is watching.
Oh, they're
Um,
watching now. So we didn't get out. So we missed the whole. They missed most of. They missed me.
I was thinking you. Oh my gosh.
Is it? Did you make a recording of it? Is it recorded?
I mean, it's recording live right now.
Oh, okay.
You and I are. I'm
Oh,
sure you
okay.
see the live button now, but for a good 10 minutes, unfortunately, I don't think we were live.
Oh, I see. We've only
So,
been on for 4 minutes.
well, a little longer than that.
Okay,
Um,
4 minutes and 3 seconds.
I'm not quite sure what you're watching. I'm
I
seeing.
see. I see a little
Yeah.
thing up in the corner that says
Yeah.
live, 4 minutes 13 seconds. I,
Yes. So here's what happened to all our viewers out there, and I can explain to you as well. I think at some point we launched 3 minutes in, it somehow broke off. I did not realize it, so my apologies. And then Leonard explained the entire incompleteness theory during that 10 minutes, and then, and
you'll
I was
get.
like, oh no.
Doesn't matter to me. You'll get my bill.
Oh my gosh. That's fine. But
Well,
yeah,
let
I mean, we did catch definitely the last couple of minutes that you were saying, so
Okay.
that's good.
Well, anyway.
But let me ask you this
Well,
from a
let's do it
bigger.
again. I think we should do it again sometime. I'm getting text messages in. podcast isn't airing.
Oh, did you actually get that text message?
I just got a text message.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. I know. Wait, hold on. I know. Shen messed up.
Wow, thanks. Thanks for texting that right in the middle of this. This is such. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna say Shen made a mistake.
I did mess up. I admit. I don't think this has happened before, so apologies to everyone. But don't worry. We will. I suppose we will do this again. But I do want to at least finish this up a little bit, so that for people who did catch some of it, what is the implication for this as a whole for let's just say for physics? Does that also imply that we can't understand everything?
I don't. Well, actually, there are some applications to physics that I don't really completely understand. In quantum mechanics, there are systems that, when they come together, certain things are unpredictable from the arrangement. For example, the arrangement of a solid state system. There's a concept called band gap, which has to do with some materials have a wide band gap and some of them have a low band gap, small band gap, and that has to do with how for example, solar cells and electronic devices exploit this. And a central problem, or a major problem, has been trying to predict from the 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 characteristics of the material itself what the band gap would be, and that turns out to be a very highly unpredictable thing. And I think there was some papers about 10 years ago that came out to explain that it has to do with the incompleteness of of the the logical relationships between the atoms and the molecules in the material. It occurs to me that we have a great deal of difficulty from first principles predicting precisely what the properties of, for example, the elements are, like the melting point, the boiling point.
Like
You
you
know,
can't predict that just from the
you can't
basic.
really predict it from first principles, even though the we understand the quantum mechanics and how to calculate these things. The calculations themselves, it seems like they're not the melting point of a substance, or the boiling point. It's not precisely predictable based upon the uh, the 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 knowledge of the constituents that are making it up. And it's not just a matter of uncertainty, uncertainty, and it's a matter of that it's not provable. In other words, how the things assemble does not give you it doesn't give you the answer. So
That's
uh,
really interesting. I did not know that.
so there are some applications to it, that that I've learned about. So
Hmm. That's yeah. So I mean, I would not know anything about that. But it is interesting. So is this is although the Godel's incompleteness theorem is a logical structure that could possibly extend to the field of science, material science, or physics.
well,
Because
I mean, it does have application. The notion of mathematics and the well, I can think of, like, we know about fractals, right? You know about fractals. Well, fractals are self-similar. There's like a certain recursion that goes in with them, and that many fractals do not have absolutely predictable behavior to them. So it's like a transition to chaos. We should talk about maybe the Mandelbrot set and that kind of chaos theory sometime. I think we did at one time, but
we did
yeah.
at one point.
And
Could bring it
and
up
and
again.
that's one of the notions that sometimes there's in the Mandelbrot set and these other kinds of applications, or algorithms. There's unpredictable behavior. That I guess maybe many people are familiar with the game the game of life, Conway's Game of Life, which is a
Yes.
cellular automata that everybody they're
Hmm.
easy. It's easy to code actually if you have a way to drive the graphics processor. They're very simple rules where you have a cell, and then if it's by itself, it will die. Uh, if it has two neighbors, it'll persist. If it has two or three neighbors, it'll persist. If it has four neighbors, then it will die. And so it's like um, you can assemble those in different kinds of arrangements, and they will breathe and grow, and they'll move across the screen. Mm, and Conway's Game of Life. If you're looking
Is
for it,
that uh
Conway.
no, no, I mean,
He died 2 years ago from COVID. Actually, he was in the news.
the Conway's Game of Life, is that something which I how does well, okay.
Well, because it has some self-referential kinds of arrangements, and then they can form structures that have that kind of property where you can't predict what it's gonna you can't predict um, from looking at the arrangement. There's no theorem that allows you to look at the arrangement to let you know how it's what it's going to do. One of the things that we didn't talk about is this thing called halting, what they call the halting problem, which is that
Mhm.
whether a computer program will stop or not. And so the Game of Life is a computer program. It's like it's called the term of
The
art that is
Hall.
like, yeah.
Mhm. Uh, okay.
Surely you can find an example of the Turing of the not the of the Game of Life.
Yes, I can definitely find an example of the
Show
Game of Life. In fact,
show
most
us.
people are probably familiar with it, except if you put in Google or your search engine Game of Life, you're gonna end up getting the board Game of Life, which is not what you want.
That's not what I'm looking
Um,
for. Conway's.
but instead, you would rather let's see. So yeah, the one that's like little square blocks.
Yeah,
Typically, that's how it's portrayed, right? So
exactly.
kind of like
There it
this,
is. Yeah. And
except
so
this one's not moving,
that's
but
just a
that's
freeze
fine.
frame. So 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 from that original arrangement there's no way to predict exactly how it would, in the long run, how it would appear. And sometimes they'll just peter out. They'll just disappear. There it is. Yeah.
Well, that's one example of
Yeah.
one that constantly repeats. Gosper's glider gun creating gliders, but there's other ones that depending on how you put it, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't know what will
And you
happen.
can and so I've actually done this, in the 80s when you could actually do stuff with the computer without like see it was
What?
e-
What does that mean?
it was easier to get the computer to do what you wanted it to do in the old days because
Really?
yeah, it
Yeah.
was, so this kind of thing is an easy program to write. um if you have access to the graphics processor and not a lot of complicated tools that you have to use. But you can set some of the cells, on and off and at arbitrary in arbitrary manner, and they will do they'll do their thing.
I don't know why
And
that just did that.
yeah.
But by doing this, you're basically saying this is another example of a self-referential system, um, right? So
Yes, right.
okay, like a
Well,
self-organization.
it's a it, I mean it has applicability to a what they call Turing complete machine, where it has um it has these attributes that allow it to. Wow, this is really good. Okay, so see, this is explaining the different kinds of structures that emerge spontaneously
You, you want to
from very simple rules.
in a future episode, you want to code this up and set up a system and let it go. That would be fun.
I can code this up. Yeah. It's a very simple program. I forgot the exact algorithm. It's like if you have one neighbor, then you continue. If you
right
have two
there.
neighbors, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I suppose we're the yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, if you lived through like the 80s, when when you first started to be able to use computers, you would know about this because everybody, you know, the gross national product was measurably lower because all the people wasting time on this writing this program, that and the Mandelbrot set. So, because people were spending a lot of time just play. It's a game. It's like now we have just now we don't play game. We don't really play games
or
anymore. We just do this all the time,
or
right?
you
Especially kids. What
or you play
you know?
on like video games. I mean,
Yeah,
although
you're doing this, and I
I guess
I know
it's not
I know people whose kids, are just they're just
well,
catatonic, when they come home.
in the past, I guess if you had to play a game, you would need to code it
You
yourself to
need to
play the
code it
game.
yourself, yeah. So
It's like you're the game developer. So
right, so you're looking at somebody that has done the Conway Life and the Mandelbrot
right.
set, and even a game of Pong. The Pong I've written, where you have. Let's see, I think I can do Pong here. Wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah, so you know how Pong goes. It's like
Oh my gosh.
now,
That's
just imagine I could use my head as the ball, but I think I need to practice. So,
I
so
think it'd
it's
be
like,
hilarious if you
what
do that.
you think? Yeah, that would be. So you're playing, you're playing, So imagine there's like a ball going back and forth, and this is the paddle, and this I can fire that one and come down.
I
And
wonder
so
if would it can that be related to our original topic? I have no idea.
Pong is not really that interesting,
No, it's not.
but
The
Conway's
Conway's
Game of
Game of
Life,
Life, though, that's
and
for
then
sure.
the Mandelbrot set. It's not a game exactly, but it is a stunningly
I think
profound
everybody has
thing.
seen the Mandelbrot set,
Yeah, but
which
if you code it up yourself and then you can zoom in, right, and you just zoom in and you see things, and every place you look is different, but also the same. So
yeah, like
yeah,
you can. I mean, this is only a picture, but you
yeah,
can even see that you zoom in and look, it's repeating. It's a
it
self again. It just keeps
it's
going.
and so this is a very simple algorithm that has to do with a complex plane, and it's the number of times. So there's a recursive algorithm where you take the complex number and you do a simple algebraic manipulation of it, and then you
Hmm.
feed it back into itself multiple times, and some of them remain on the set, some of them remain bounded, and some of the initial conditions will go off to
Right.
infinity, and the colors are mapping to how long it takes for it to go off to infinity. and
Yep. And
and
by doing that, you
yeah,
can
the
create this
the
infinite
ones
differential.
the ones that are black are bounded. Those are initial. So each point on this complex plane, I'm not sure where zero is, where the origin is. I think the origin is over to the right a little bit along that along the
This
along that
axis.
thing. Yeah, that thing. That's the zero. That's the real axis, but the
Okay.
complex axis is vertical, and the
Right.
zero
Okay.
zero axis I think is over there near where like that thing that looks like cleavage, you know.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Wow. Thanks.
over to
Which
the
one
right.
looks like cleavage?
Yeah.
This one?
No.
Here?
No.
Here?
No. Don't.
Okay, forget it.
I don't
Oh,
recall.
here. Got it.
I don't recall, Senator.
No. Oh my goodness. Only you would relate the Mandelbrot set to cleavage. Yes. Wow. But point is, there's a real. This is plotted on the real imaginary axis,
Real
and
imaginary axis, and the colors relate to how long it takes for
Mhm.
that iterative. In other words, you iterate. You take a number. The complex plane is a number. Each point is a number. It's a complex number, has a real and imaginary. You take that number and then you like you square it and then you add a constant to it. I see the
Yep, there
formula
you
there.
go. Z squared plus
And then
C.
the result you plug back into you plug back into it. And so you do that recursively
Right.
and you count the number of times, and once it gets above a certain threshold, then it will escape. But the thing is, so the black area are points on the plane that
Hmm.
didn't escape. So they're on the set. They really are in the Mandelbrot set. But there are rivers and tortuous, places of black that extend out all through the plane, and it's making this. There's a little self-similar, and
Here,
I
like this one's a good example. Zooming
yeah,
into it. Look at
yeah.
that. That
So
looks amazing.
so
It's
many
constant
years ago,
repeats.
many years ago, I wrote a program that would do this. And so at a certain point, you start to bump into the numerical precision of your numbers, and so then it starts to get grainy, and you can't
It's
extend your form.
absolutely beautiful in like these patterns that form that are constantly
I think
that are
I think
infinite.
I think I think it's beautiful, and then the notion that there's this simple mapping and this simple algorithm that has all of this,
Complexity in
is
there. Wow.
it's breathtaking. All what we're looking at is real. This is not well, it's a real thing. This is not something that comes out of, somebody's imagination. This is something that emerges from mathematics, right? and
Right.
and it's just there, and it goes, and you can, as you zoom in, and of course when you zoom in, the further you zoom in, what it's not showing you is that the computational uh, burden increases, so you pay for it in that respect, and so we don't have to pay for it here because it's a video, it's a
Right. It's already
recording of
somebody
it.
already did the computations
but
and created
but
this
I used to
images.
say, I used to think, this is just it's almost,
Right.
almost emotional, that there is so much structure or apparent structure
And then repeated here. Yep.
in a mathematical formula. You know,
In
so
1978, if you had to code it yourself, you could have printed this out. So
in 78, yeah, in 78,
first
yeah,
published.
but by
Yeah.
by by 1984, 85, you could do the one up there,
Right. That's for
because I
sure.
did it. I
We should talk about this in
There's
depth
the
at some
this is
point.
the there that's the bifurcation diagram. I guess they call that the
Oh, that is
yeah.
can be seen to where the set is finite. That is that's really
Mhm.
that's really interesting.
So we
Um,
we we kind of we kind of deviated from our
we
original
we
topic,
completely kind of
you
deviated
know.
from the Gödel's incompleteness theorem, but we did dive into other fun math.
Uh-huh.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So you didn't know about this. You weren't
no, I know about the Mandelbrot set.
oh,
I
okay.
didn't. Uh, I guess didn't know about what exactly.
Yeah, so it's
I
it's
guess I
really
forgot about some details.
yeah, so it's really easy to, I mean, that was the thing. It's easy to code. It's easy to, you know, there's
There's some
s-
math.
yeah, we can talk about that.
I think we can definitely talk about the behavior of this some point, as well
Yeah,
as
but
actually coding it up would be fun. I think self similarity and all that.
mhm,
Julia sets, yeah. So there's the incompleteness theorem, though. To our original topic, I don't think there's anything you could code up there. This is just a set of logical.
no, I don't have anything really fun to do there except to ponder, that there are things that are true that you
Right.
can't prove, or there are propositions that you can't prove, and so it's sort of disturbing in a way. Um, and
It is very
also
disturbing.
it also encourages one to look for explanations about consciousness. I think maybe I didn't quite express that the way I wanted to, but
Well,
um,
I think you explained it pretty well in that, uh, from what I understand, you're saying consciousness is not consciousness does not have to come from everything that is already known to us.
It's worth a look. Is I guess is what I'm saying. I still think that our brains are computers and that we're not doing any. There's no agency. We're just responding to the inputs that we
So
have.
wait a minute.
But wait, so I know it seems contradictory but I'm open to this idea that somehow Gödel's incompleteness theorem
Huh.
provides a way to an escape from that, a way for information to emerge logically, which does not depend upon a number of steps, a number of proof steps. So, but I don't know how that would happen, and I think it's somewhat similar to what Roger Penrose. So far as I know, Roger Penrose is the only one who's going, who's talking about those kinds of things, but he's not anybody to.
What is Roger Penrose's view of
Well, he
this?
talks about he's interested in everything. But one of the things he's interested in is consciousness, and so the idea that we have a lot of artificial intelligence ideas that are that we can create a machine that will think and will have a personality and so forth.
This
He
view, right? Penrose
he
Lucas argument.
he doesn't he suggests, or he doesn't think that consciousness is necessarily a computer program. It's not a program that's running. And so, but in order to say that, you have to have some way of.
That's right. We did talk about this. You recall a little while back where we talked about his theory. Yeah, where this consciousness originates not from neurons, but not from the connections between neurons, but rather the fundamental quantum nature of inside the neurons.
Right. So that's a path that he's going down. He's trying to find out, maybe quantum mechanics has something to do with it in that respect. But I'm arguing that the incompleteness theorem itself it means that among what we think are logical structures, in other words, what we're doing is we're a computer and we're producing steps toward an answer, or some, our process of living, basically, and solving the problem of getting through life. We're producing, we're processing information, and then we're doing stuff like, like we're going to work, we're buying food, we're eating the food, we're going to work, and so forth. So that kind of thing. But that there can also be, emerging from that, truths and information that doesn't necessarily follow from the steps that are that's from the steps that I just articulated. I'm not saying I believe that. Okay, I want to make it clear, because in this age, it's like, if you say something, then you become accountable for it, and then people think you're very, very strange if you don't like back up everything that you say with. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a scientist. Okay, so I'm seeking the truth.
Basically speaking, the view that the conjecture that Roger Penrose argues, right?
I think. Hold on. I think I just said lawyers do not seek truth. Huh. Okay. Well, anyway, that just came out. But anyway, escapable mathematicians are not using a knowably sound calculation procedure. So,
well, I find it interesting that this argument here, where Roger Penrose basically says, like, hey, human mathematicians, we can come up with proofs. So because Godel says, you can't prove your own consistency, whereas human mathematicians are able to do that. That means there's something that is not, that is beyond
there's something
what it is.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's the way he's articulating it there is what I really want to say.
Right.
It's not, we're not computing. We may not be
computers.
We may not be computers.
Exactly.
Right?
Because if you're a computer, then you're following this formal set of defined axioms, which basically means you can never prove yourself,
Uh-huh. But
whereas we
we can
can
but
to a
well, we
degree.
can, maybe we can.
Right.
I
Maybe
don't
we
know. I
can.
think he
Let's
would
just say.
argue that, but you know, it means that there's some things that we can decide are true. We can look at something and say it's true, even though we didn't follow a set of rules, you know, computational rules to prove that it's true. And so anyway, that's
This is really interesting how you can relate this form like logic to mathematics
uh-huh.
to physics to even consciousness. I mean, wow,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you go that far,
Hmm.
right?
Okay, so
I think
we're
that
way
that
over
little
time. We're way over
well,
time,
we
although
covered that whole blip of 10 minutes where you were talking and nobody heard you. That's great. We did have a full episode. I am
okay.
gonna I'm gonna have to say I'm gonna skip over the UFO things today. That's
Oh,
all good.
well, we'll
Wha-
do it next time. We'll do.
we
Okay.
will.
All right.
We're way over time.
All right.
So and for everyone out there, I always end it with look up because you never know what you will see. We will be back. I should put a
Yeah.
note here. We'll be back here next Tuesday. That will be May 9th, if you're paying attention.
May 9th.
May 9th at 6:30 p.m. US Central Time. And so with that, I will kindly say namaste. Or oh wow. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
And then good night, everybody. So and don't forget,
I don't know. I don't know whose culture I'm appropriating. You know, so I don't.
you can do
Yep.
all of them.
Yes, you can. Good night.
Good night.
Mwah.